Welcome to the Onstage Podcast, where we deep dive into the power of music and entertainment. It gives you issues.
Huh. Okay.
Well, here we go. Ashley Nicole Soprano.
Oh, here I'm going to
Are you hearing echo again?
well, I think I have my headphones on, but my sound isn't coming through
But you hear me, right?
my headphones, so I have to figure out
But you hear
why.
me, right?
Yes, I do hear you. I just have to hold on.
Testing. Actually, in your case, testing.
Oh, okay. Okay. There we go. Now my sound's coming through my
Yeah, and
headphones.
there's no echo either.
There we go. That was what it was. Okay,
Excellent.
okay.
Awesome.
I have echo cancellation on. Should I? It says do not, let's see, do not turn this off unless you have a high quality microphone and are
Well, it
wearing
looks like, do you have a high
headphones.
quality
Okay.
microphone, or is your microphone in your headset?
I'm using a Yeti, blue Yeti.
I don't hear any echo on my side from you. Do you hear
Okay.
any echo on my side from you? I mean,
No,
on
no.
your side
It's
from me?
good.
It's good?
No, I think it's good. I think we got it now. I think we figured it out.
Hello. Oh, yeah. Hello.
Yes, perfect.
Hello,
Oh,
hello, hello, hello. I'm the best opera singer in the world. Baloney. That was an old, that was an old joke from the Scouts.
oh goodness. That we call that positive affirmation now.
Oh, that I'm baloney? Great.
No,
Guess what,
that I'm the
everyone?
best.
An opera singer told me that I, no, just kidding.
Oh, goodness.
This
Well,
is
I'm so
awesome.
happy to meet you, Chris. Thank you
So
so
happy
much
to.
for having me.
Well, thank you very much, Ashley Nicole, Coloratura Soprano, classically trained. Thank you
Yes.
for being on our platform. Really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with you today.
And nice to meet you because I know you were on Classical Crossover with Natasha Barbieri because we had her on and we kind of worked together somehow. But and I noticed that she has you on there quite a bit, and you get a chance to sing along with Nadia Eide and Ellen Williams and all them. It's awesome.
It really is. It's so much fun, and yeah, it's a great.
It
I
is.
love classical crossover magazine. It's now crossover magazine. They changed the name recently,
It's
and
awesome.
it's awesome. Yeah, a lot of talented artists on there, and it's great.
Well, everyone, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Onstage Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of music and incredible artists who bring it to life. Today, we have a very special guest, the immensely talented soprano, coloratura soprano, Ashley Nicole, known for her unique youthful voice and a range that spans over 3 octaves, which is coloratura soprano. Ashley has captivated audiences with her performances in opera, pop, rock, jazz, and musical theater. From her original singles to her stunning opera roles, Ashley's versatility and passion for music shine through in every note. Join us as we explore her musical journey, inspirations, and the stories behind her captivating performances. Now, I'd like to ask you, Ashley, thank you for being with us on the platform again for the second time. And it's nice to meet you, and I've heard so much about you. I want to
Oh,
ask you, what inspired you to pursue a career in music, especially how did they find out you were a soprano? How did they find out you were coloratura soprano? Let's start from the beginning.
oh my. Well, you see, I I didn't grow up with a musical family, or I don't have any connections in my, immediate family or extended family. Nobody's a professional musician. We don't have, my grandma wasn't an opera singer, or you know, my dad wasn't a music producer. So I we actually, when I was in elementary school, my mom's friend gave us her. her upright piano. She was going to upgrade to a baby grand, and so she gave us her piano. And so, ever since I got that piano, I started, just kind of playing around on it, and I really started. That was my love of composing. That's where that came from. Just me, just playing around on the piano, just experimenting. And so then I started taking piano lessons, and then my piano teacher helped me write down the songs that I was creating. And so one of the very that was my first experience with music, was piano. And then I kept taking piano lessons as I got older, and I kept writing songs throughout that time. And I really always did want to be a singer, but I just didn't know how to use my voice. I just thought, if you want to be a singer, you have to be born singing. Like one of my favorite singers, when I was little, was Shirley Temple. Like she was literally, it seemed like she just was born, super talented. And I thought, well, I'm not Shirley Temple, so I'm not a singer. But with my second piano teacher, she was from Russia, and she was also a classically trained opera singer. And so she told me, you should take some voice lessons to help with your piano. And because she was also teaching me music theory, and she was also teaching me, just really basic musicality. And I said, I would love that, but, like, I don't sing. And this was in high school, actually. And I was homeschooled, so I didn't really have any experience with like show choir, or um, I didn't, I wasn't in choirs. I wasn't in like children's choirs or anything like that. Um, so yeah, so I started taking voice lessons with my piano teacher. And so one day, my first voice lesson, she's like, okay, well, let's just try some warm ups and see kind of maybe what your range might be. So she starts playing some scales, and I just keep singing, higher and higher and higher and higher. And she's like, I didn't know what a normal range would be, or really anything. I was just kind of doing what I could do. And she's like, well, Ashley, she's like, you're a coloratura soprano. I'm like, oh, okay. What's that? And she's like, that's like the highest, female voice. Like, she's like, that's really cool. I'm like, okay. And so one of the first songs she gave me was Edelweiss. And I recorded it on my on my computer. And I was super shy to sing and stuff for my family. Like, I didn't want them to hear me. Like, I would only sing if everybody left the house, like everyone's gone, I can sing now. And so I recorded it, and then I showed my mom the recording, and she's like, wait, is that you? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's really good. Like, oh, cool. So then, so I grew pretty quickly after that. And and my teacher, she gave me, the next songs I learned were I Could Have Danced All Night. And then also, O Mio Babino Caro. So I started out singing classically and being classically trained. I didn't have any other really, like, I guess, American singing style influence. It was straight classical training from the beginning. Um so yeah, so that's how it all started. And when I first performed I Could Have Danced All Night, it was so funny because my teacher, she knew I could hit the high note. And I was just like, "No, I can't hit the high note, like, no." And she's like, "You can do it." And I'm like, "I don't know." And so it's so funny now because I send the videos of me singing now to my voice teacher, and she's like she loves it so much because I always go for the high note now. Like, that's my favorite part of the song. So yeah, so that's how it all got started.
Wow. At least your mom went, "Oh, wow, is that you?" I remember the story is that Elvis was in his first movie and didn't tell his mom. So when he paid for her movie ticket and said, "Sit down, I got a surprise for you," she saw him acting and she says to him, "Don't give up your day job."
Oh, no. Yeah,
So at least your
yes.
mom was kind to you.
Yes, we have a good encouraging parents and
Yeah.
supportive family, so I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Tell us about your early musical influences.
Okay. Well, my, my earliest, musical influences, are, I guess, you know, my main musical influence as for me as an artist is Sarah Brightman. You know, when I after I heard, Sarah Brightman, I was really convinced that that's what I wanted to do, with my life, was
Mhm.
to sing classically and to study classical music, and when I heard Time to Say Goodbye and I heard, Canto della Terra, I was just like, "Oh, man,
Mm.
that's beautiful." Like, that is just
Bocelli sings
beautiful.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. Who's that? Bocelli?
Andrea Bocelli. Yeah, he sings that.
Yes, Andrea Bocelli, and Sarah Brightman. That's the one I heard, the duet, and I was just like,
Mhm.
"Oh, man." And I just haven't stopped ever since then, but that was in high school. So,
Mhm.
I've just had so many different early musical influences, but another one that was really important to me was when my parents took me to see The Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
there was a local, the touring, performance, and we went to see it, and it just really it just really blew my mind. Everything about it, just the acting and the
Hmm.
drama and the music and the high notes. And it was so funny because my dad, he came home and played the soundtrack, the rest of the night too, and I just couldn't believe the high notes you know that Christine sings. And I haven't stopped listening to the Phantom of the Opera since then. And I that was actually the first, like, piano book that I bought, was Big Note Phantom of the Opera. So I first learned to play all those songs on the piano. So I think that really, influenced me a lot. Just the beautiful songwriting by Andrew Lloyd Webber, and just everything about it. I just love it so much. And I sing every song from the Phantom of the Opera now. Like, I
Nice.
sing, every, uh, song basically. And yeah, it's just I love it so much. I can't tell you how much I love it.
I actually really love the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical fandom. I've attempted to do the part with Christina Dene because my partner I was with would would play Christine Dene, and not everyone can do that high note. You
Yeah.
know, being the Phantom is no problem, but being Christine Dene, like, how do you handle that whole, like, because being a coloratura soprano helps you do that role?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because the role was written for Sarah Brightman, and so
Mhm.
we have very similar voices, Sarah Brightman and I. And she, yeah, she's a coloratura soprano. And so the high notes really actually come easy for me. And it's the low notes that I had to work really hard on developing, because the high notes actually came really easily for me. Um, but the classical training really does help, um, help to obviously be able to reach that really high note. yeah, I wouldn't be able to sing it if I didn't have classical training. I don't think. So, like I said, I started off with classical training. So,
Mhm.
I don't really know what it is to sing without being classically trained because I didn't really try to sing ever before I started voice lessons. Um, you know, I if I did sing, it was very quietly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Actually, he wrote it and performed in 1986. So I think the 40th
Oh,
anniversary is coming up pretty soon.
oh, wow.
So I wonder what they're going to do. That they're probably going to release versions of that. But Phantom was my favorite musical. And then
Me
there is
too.
that sequel, I believe, Love Never Dies, which
Mhm.
had a couple of good tunes on it, but it's really it doesn't fare very well compared to Phantom, which is better. Like really, I don't know why he made a sequel, but it was actually I love it. I love the whole musical and everything. Um, but so and as you were developing your unique vocal range, and you figured out how high you can go, and you figured out how low you can go.
Yes. Um, so I can go to the, C below middle C,
Mm.
um, and I really developed that range through singing Patsy Cline.
Oh wow!
So she was another one of my really early musical
Oh
influences
wow!
because she's my mom's favorite country singer
Hmm.
is Patsy Cline. So I would listen to Patsy Cline a lot growing up, and she was a what they call a contralto, which is like the lowest female voice,
Mm.
but um, also Patsy Cline, the way she sings, like she almost could have been an opera singer just because she has that that type of voice that could have been an opera singer. So I really can feel um I can really lean into the classical training when I sing her music, but it took a long time to be able to sing the lower notes because just um you really have to train the lower voice a lot as a
Yeah,
coloratura soprano.
yeah. Did you ever see that? I think it was America's Got Talent. They had this girl, and she was singing, I think, oh, 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 oh. And then the music changed from an opera classical to a heavy metal type thing. She goes like this. And everyone's thinking, oh no, they mix up the track. And then she went from opera to singing heavy metal, like going from there to there. Like it was amazing. She did it on purpose to show you her vocal range. So, how do you balance performing different genres of music from opera to pop?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. That I love that. It's funny because she sang the doll aria, and
Yeah.
I also that's one of my favorite things to sing. Um, so how do I balance going in between them? Well, I it's taken a really long time just to be able to find my voice. And it's interesting because I really don't think very much about switching in between like voices, like before, maybe it was kind of like now I'm singing in my opera voice and now I'm singing in my pop voice, whereas now it's just my voice. And um, I don't really think very much about switching in between them anymore. Um, but yeah, so it feels really natural now for some reason, and it's just like it's more of like I'm gonna sing this song and or I'm gonna sing this song. So I don't really think it doesn't really take too much like thinking now to go between them because I I just kind of sing in my voice now. Although I guess sometimes I might add different colors to my voice depending on the it's more about like the emotion of the song, as opposed to like I'm going to use my, operatic technique now. like, so yeah, so it's just me singing a song. I think sometimes as singers we tend to overthink like this is how this song is supposed to sound or like this is how an opera singer is supposed to sing.
Mhm.
Like it's like every song is just notes on a page, like it's just notes on a page. And we we sing, we interpret that, and there's a million ways you can interpret, notes on a page. So, once you have your technique down and once you have your voice, it's like you can sing any notes. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I think about it now, anyways.
It's funny. I like how you say that color to your voice, coloratura.
Oh, yes.
So basically, like the thing is that we had a band by the name of Bad Mary, Mike and Amanda, and the question was, "What color is your music?" And they said it's magenta. And so it's kind of interesting. Some people say, "Oh, my color of my music is black," or "the color of my music is whatever." But with you, you're talking about the color, Ratura, of your voice, right? And then it's sort of like there's a movie out there. It's called Mr. Holland's Opus with Richard Dreyfuss, and there's a woman, one of his students, and she was playing the clarinet, and every time she gets to a certain note, it squeaks, and she could never understand why, and she played it so well. And then he says, "Close your eyes." She closes her eyes, and she says, "Think of a sunset." So she thinks of a sunset, and then he says, "Play the sunset." So with you, it's sort of like you got to figure out the color, actually color of your voice, and then sing that. It's kind of interesting. It's pretty how you can just imagine that, and especially with a band like Bad Mary, that you just suddenly, okay, my color of our music is magenta, and then you have to play magenta, and whatever that means to you, it's great. It's great. I noticed that you had released your first single called Charade. What can you tell us and describe your creative process when writing and producing your original songs?
Yeah. So, the my creative process is, it really just comes from kind of inspiration from just at random times, you know. And I usually get inspiration with a melody, um, and melody and lyrics at the same time. Um, and you know, it I'm not like a person who like really sits down and like intentionally like tries to come up with something. I'm just usually inspired a lot of times when I'm just doing other things. Um, and so you just take that idea and then of the melody and the lyrics, and then you write harmony for it. So you have the chords, and then and then you take that. And usually I'll start out on the piano because that's my first instrument is the piano. So I play it out on the piano, find the chords that I like, um, and then yeah, and then just go from there. But sometimes I really struggle to write the second verse because usually the first verse and the chorus will just come super easily to me. But then trying to put the same melody to different words is really challenging for some reason. Like because I get so attached to like verse one, like this is the original words that this melody that I was inspired with, and then it's like I have to think of another verse now.
Mhm.
And so that's when I really have to be intentional about writing is verse two.
Yeah,
So that tends to trip me up sometimes.
yeah, I can understand what you're talking about. You mentioned about you just suddenly you're inspired, and most songs that people write are based on experience. And I'm going to ask you this. I heard charade, and I'm like, what's the experience behind this? I'm tired of trying so hard, never getting anywhere. Big dreams, big bills to pay. Hard road to never reap, always sow. What's so great about a degree? I'm burned out, tired out, never catching a break. What's all about? What experience is that?
Well, I think anybody in the music business will tell you it's very, very hard, and you face a lot of challenges in so many different ways. It's very, very difficult. And uh, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of um, discouraging times. There's a lot of times when you just really, you know, start to question yourself and like, your abilities and especially as an independent artist, it's also, challenging to just to be able to afford to do the things you need to do to produce music. And it's a long challenge, and it's a long road, and it's very hard. But I just always believed in my dream, and I've just wanted to be a singer, more than anything. And so I just, my favorite line of the song is, life gives you lemonades. I've got to, life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I've got to make life sweet. And, so every time I've faced a challenge, or I've faced a setback, or I've faced a just a really emotional time, I've just tried to take that, whatever that was, and make something positive out of it, and use it to propel me forward, as opposed to using it to tear me down. And so yeah, so that's what the song's about. It's about, no matter what you face, just take it. And you're going to question everything. Like, you're going to question, am I, am I good? Can I make it? Can I get to the next, level? Like, should I just quit? Like, I think every singer is at the point where they're always like, should I quit? Should I stop? Should I do something else? It's like, no, like, you have to, even when it just seems like, oh man, this is impossible. Like, and especially as a singer, like, it's so funny because you're constantly just like, especially at the beginning, you're just like always questioning your voice, like, itself, like, oh man, like, I can, especially when you're, yeah, developing your technique and just trying to find your voice, or it's like, I can't sing this, I can't do, so it's yeah, that's what it's about. And it's just that my message, the main message that I want to convey with that song is that, you know, I know that you're questioning everything. I know that it seems impossible. I know that it's really hard, and that it seems impossible. But if you really believe in yourself, and you really believe in your dream, and you really, really love music, and you have a song to sing, don't give up on yourself, because you will make it to the other side. You will make it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Ashley. I know that you ever seen the Puccini opera Turandot? They have that song Nessun Dorma. That's actually
Yes.
written for the male version. But when I asked that question to a female, like I asked you that question, she's thinking, oh, no, no, I've never attempted that. Well, you know who actually attempted that song and did such a good job? Lucy Kay. Beautiful rendition. Beautiful
Okay.
rendition. I want to ask you, so with Charade now, can you explain this lyric? I want to live my life. It has begun. What does that mean?
Um, so I want to live my life. It has begun to rain on this parade. So it kind of goes into the next line too. Um, you know, I think sometimes you get so um, kind of like stuck in the process, or along the journey. At a point, you just you're facing so many challenges, and nothing's really going the way that you want it to, and but that's because you're in the middle of the journey.
Yeah.
You're not at the destination yet. And so when you're in the middle of it, that lyric is like, I want to live my life, which means like, I want to be at the destination. Like, I want to arrive. Like, I'm tired of being at this like beginning point where everything's frustrating and everything's a problem. Like everything's a challenge. Like, I just want to live my life. I just want to live the life that like I'm dreaming of, that I'm imagining. Like, I want to be there. I want to arrive. So um yes, then it's like, it has begun to rain on this parade. It's kind of like you expect the journey to kind of be perfect all along the way, and like everything's going to work out. But then, like, there's going to be times when, you know things are going to it's going to rain on your parade. Like, um it's going to be hard, and it's going to feel like, oh, everything's ruined, oh, my opportunity is, I, lost my big opportunity, or just like, especially as an emotional person, it's kind of like, you know, I tend to kind of dramatize everything. I don't know if you noticed that.
I'm thinking that the title Charade is basically that song Rain on My Parade, I think, is from Charade. But
Mm.
when you say stop the madness, I want fun. What fun you talking about?
Oh my. Well, I I think it's just like the fun of just like being you know being at being at the place where everything's good and everything's fun, just because the struggles can just become, all consuming if you don't really make an intention to make it fun along the way. Like you can just get so bogged down
Hmm.
with the struggle of the process, so you have to be like, I'm gonna make this fun, I want to have fun. I want to enjoy my life, I want to enjoy the process. And so I really try to do that now. um I wrote this song like a long time ago. so so but I didn't change any of the lyrics because the song really doesn't reflect my current mood, but at the same time I wanted to sort of preserve that song for maybe people who are at that stage in their process. And it's like I wanted to um to stay true to that sentiment that I wrote at that time. So that's kind of the weird thing about writing a song is you write it and it's kind of like a little time capsule of a certain time in your life. And it's like, I want to honor my little time capsules of, my past. And,
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I should change that lyric. Like, I don't know. But it's like, no, that's the way it was. And that's what I'm going to keep it as. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
It makes perfect sense. Okay, so how do you prepare for a live performance?
well, I mean, there's so many factors that goes into performing and preparing for live performances. I mean, first you just have to make sure you know the music really well. It's practice the music. And um, because once you're performing, you really just have to be in the emotion of the song, because you really can't be up there thinking about you know the technique
Yes.
or the lyric or the anything. You just have to be 100% in the emotion of the song, while still obviously keeping a little bit of track on what the lyric is. Because if you get too like too just into the moment, you're like, where am I? So, what am I? um so uh yeah, so performing is just it's like it's crazy how much um concentration it takes, and like how much just really specific. It's a really specific mental game. There's so many mental aspects to performing live, like, and also just staying positive too, because there's also, if you're not careful, people can be just really um, uh, terrified, and then you can't do anything you practiced, because when your body goes into that like state of like fear, then you can't be, because in order to sing well, you have to be totally free and calm and like, um, you know, which is the opposite of being terrified.
Yeah,
So it's a crazy like mental process you have to go to perform live. So I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah. When you're standing there and you're trying to sing and you're thinking of not thinking of technique, whatever, you're gonna fail. I remember when I did a big solo performance. I practiced for weeks. I knew it inside and out. And by the time I had that microphone in my hand,
Oh, nice.
And I started singing the first part of it, got to the bridge, and I'm like, oh no, what is the second part? What's the second part? Oh. And I went, you know what? I'm going to exchange him for the first part. So I sang verse one again because you have to get out of that mess, right? So I sang the first lyric again. And then people were doing their thing, great job, whatever. And I said, yeah, I know, but I forgot the first lyric. And I'm like to myself,
Oh,
shut up. They don't need to know that. I'm just being honest.
exactly.
I screwed up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where your brain goes, is like the one thing you messed up on, like not the a million notes you hit right, but like I messed that one note up. And then you're like, yeah, and then you're telling everybody
Yeah.
afterwards, but I messed that one note up for that one.
Yeah. So, and this pianist, he's performing in front of hundreds, thousands of people. And just when he ends the first part of the classical song by Prokofiev, whatever, he's thinking, oh no, I can't remember what the last one was.
Oh
What's the
no.
last performance? Oh no. So he went and he started playing chopsticks with one finger. And they roared and cheered and everything. And said, wow, you played chopsticks. Wow. And yet he's back in his mind. He's thinking, yeah, but I was supposed to like play that Tchaikovsky piece. But, don't
Oh,
be too hard on yourself.
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, can you share any challenges you faced in your music and how you overcame them?
Oh, goodness. So many, so many,
Is there one that particular stands out in your mind?
so many. I think just the main one is like, you know, I think the hardest one is just staying true to yourself, because along the way, you get a lot of, I mean, it's like, oh goodness, there's so many different opinions, and like different people telling you, you know, oh gosh, just so many things. But, I think you really have to know yourself, and know the right people to listen to. And, I'm all about like taking advice and learning, but at the same time, you can't take everyone's advice. Like, you have to choose wisely what you're going to listen to, and um, what you're going to live by. And, I think a lot of people get really caught up in like, well, so and so said this, and so maybe maybe I shouldn't do this, and maybe it's like, no, you have to know yourself, and know who to listen to, and choose wisely your mentors, because those people are really going to influence your future. And um, yeah, so just really be wise about that. And I think that's one of the main things I've learned. And um, yeah, over the years. And also being kind to myself, because again, realizing that it is a process, and you have to go through the process. You're not going to be like a perfect singer on the very first song you learn and your very first voice lesson. Like, it is a process, and it's going to take a long time. And, so I think that's the biggest challenge. And not, don't lose the faith. Just keep going, and keep going, and stay true to yourself, and listen to,
Hmm.
your inner, um, your, I guess, yeah, your heart, and what you know that you believe is your vision for yourself. Believe in your vision for yourself. And so that's the main thing. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Well, the month of May was Mental Health Month. So, how do you maintain your mental health, vocal health, stamina?
Yeah. So, um, I mean, I try to get plenty of rest. I think that's the main thing. Plenty of sleep. It's very important for the voice to get a lot of sleep, and eat healthy. I try to follow really a healthy diet and exercise, and just getting fresh air and, taking that time to take care of your health is very important because it's really easy to become way too busy and to also to think like, oh, well, I don't have time to exercise now, or I don't have time to stretch, or I don't have time to breathe.
Hmm.
Um, but, that has to be a huge priority for a singer because our body is our instrument. And, and, you have to, yeah, you have to really take care of your, that, and all of that stuff really helps a lot with mental health. And, so I try to do all of that. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely that would work.
That would work if we could do it right.
Yeah. So, how do you approach learning and interpreting a new opera role? For instance, can you tell us about your experience performing Adina in Elixir of Love? What was it like for you? How did you prepare for that role?
Oh man, so that was such a wonderful experience for me. It was it was like the first time that I really worked closely with a orchestra. And I was just so excited. I mean, I can't remember how anything else I was that excited to do. And I love, first of all, I love the Elixir of Love. And when I watched Anna Netrebko singing that, there's a DVD, and I watched that like a million times. And I got the score and I just went through it on the piano and I played it over and over, and I listened to recordings to get just to get the I guess the way that the music goes, because the score, you can get kind of caught up in the little details, but then it's kind of like you just have to get into the emotion of the song at some point, and the feeling. So yeah, so I went through the score, I over and over played it on the piano, sang it, listened to the recordings, listened to several recordings, because you don't just want to copy another artist, like you want to have your own interpretation. So and then obviously when you get into the performance, the orchestra, and the conductor, they have their kind of ideas for how it goes and the tempos. But then, you know, I remember really specifically, it was a really cool moment where the first violin, he says to me, you sing it the way you want to sing it, and then we'll play to you. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like, that really meant a lot to me because, I, as a singer, you really become, um, you really want to express music, and I in my own tempo, like I have kind of my own rhythm and my own kind of tempo that feels really comfortable for my voice.
Hmm.
Um, and so they really were uh, they really were helpful, and they really encouraged me to sing, to sing it my way, which I really, really appreciated so much. So yeah, so that was just an amazing, amazing experience. I'll never forget it, and I had so much fun.
Well, playing Adina, you also played Rosina in The Barber of Seville. How much of Ashley Nicole is there in these characters? How much of Ashley was in Rosina, and how much Ashley was Adina?
So much, so much. There was no acting at all. It's 100% me. No, just oh goodness. Yes, that's what I really liked about those characters, is I could really put a lot of myself into the character. And I think that's really important to me, is being authentic to myself. And so in order for me to play a part, there definitely has to be some of me in that character, because that really allows me um I guess, my personality to come through if I can be myself in the character. Um, so yeah, so there's definitely a lot of similarities between me and those characters.
That's a good thing because you could be Adina in The Barber of Seville and Rosina in Elixir of Love accidentally without realizing, wait a minute. So if you become Ashley in all these, then you can just be yourself and you won't have to worry about mixing up the characters. I've heard horror stories, but it's
That's a
interesting.
good point.
Yeah, yeah, because you could definitely be Rosina and Adina and just, But so when you're singing and you're Rosina, how do you connect with your audience during a performance? How do you do it so people are like, wow, you know?
Well, um, that's kind of one of the things that's really interesting about um, the difference between maybe opera singing and singing in a concert style. Um, is that there's that what is it, the fourth wall or the third wall that where you is it the third wall, is that what it is, I think, where it's like basically you kind of are supposed to put like a wall up between you and the audience, and there's really like no connection, like they're just looking in at you, kind of like if somebody was watching a television or something. But it's funny because I kind of imbue a lot of that, breaking the wall between me and the audience, just because I love to connect with the audience so much. um, and that's kind of a little bit of what people said was unique about my performance, is that I I do kind of tend to, you know, make the audience feel like they're included in the I don't know, kind of like, what do they call it, like an aside, where they kind of intentionally will be like, to the audience, or whatever. Like I kind of do that, but not to where it's like obvious, but like to just, it's very subtle, I guess, to where the audience feels like they are included in the story and I'm kind of sharing with them. But I can do that a lot more in the concert setting, where you can really connect with the audience a lot, which is why I really love to sing um, in the concert style, because you really can really directly connect with the audience, and you can really develop that, you know, that connection. So, um, yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, like I've always wanted to do an opera like Turandot or Tosca. I'm trying to learn the Nessun Dorma and with the
Yes.
rolling R's and all that. I don't know how many times you did Adina and Elixir of Love, like how many performances you had to do, but it must have got to the point where your last performance you were like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, is that true though? That there was a point
No,
where no, really, you enjoyed
no.
every one of. Wow,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah.
It's not a
I
time you
I
wanted to give up then.
No,
Oh wow.
no. Because it's like you have worked so hard to get to that point, and I think when you genuinely love the music, it's kind of like, you know, when you put the record on repeat. And I always do this when I
Mhm.
find a new song I like, I'll listen to it like 50 times
Oh
before I
wow,
move on to the next song. I just love to just listen to the same song over and over and over and over.
amazing.
And then you move on to the next song and you don't listen to that song ever again. So um so that's kind of when I'm in a role, or when I'm doing a concert or something like that. Those songs are kind of like my on repeat, like I'll listen to it over and over and over and over. So
Interesting.
yeah, so I don't get tired
Interesting.
of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I watched some months ago. I watched Tosca, and you're talking about connecting with the audience. The
Yeah.
main character is the lady, and then her guy friend, and then I don't know if you've ever seen Tosca, but I'm looking at everyone. I'm thinking, do they really connect with the audience? But I know I was mesmerized because wow, this is. I can imagine how many performances they did, how tired they get, how many went home to bed, how many actually overslept and missed their, you know. It's
Oh
just
no,
amazing.
hopefully nobody.
Everyone. connect. That's why you have an understudy. Like I don't know if you have an understudy. Do you have an understudy for Adina or Rosina, or did you know that you were going to go on every day if at the time it was on? I don't need no understudy. Get away from me. Is that how it was for you?
Yeah, there was no understudy. It was just pray everything's good and there's no you
That's
don't
good.
get any cold or anything.
Yeah.
Just pray that you're healthy for the performance. Oh gosh,
Wow.
yes.
So, like, what do you consider a typical day in your life as an coloratura opera singer? Like, for instance, let's say starting Monday, you have to go and practice because you're going to be performing the main character in Wicked, which is totally like not coloratura opera. There's nothing. It's just singing. So you have to go in on Monday. So what would your typical day like be today or this weekend? Or would you start learning? Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago? How far in advance would you start? If you knew that you were performing tomorrow, how far in advance would you have to be learning that?
Well, ideally you want to have months to prepare for a
Oh,
role
really?
like
Okay.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And really I notice with a lot of my repertoire that you really um can really embody the role or the character when you do it once and then you put it away for a while and then you bring it out again. Something about, doing it and then putting it away and then doing it again. You really can be free with the the music. Even like songs that I'll sing one year, then I, put them away for a while and I get them back out again. It's like it really becomes a part of you at that point. So, but if I know sometimes, if you're learning a role or something, you can't put it away for a year, but sometimes they might, I mean, in certain situations, they might let you know a year in advance you're going to do a role next year. But,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, but you definitely want a couple months to just get the music in your mind,
Wow.
in your body, in your voice, and
Mm.
um, I mean, but there has been lots of times when I have had to learn a song a couple days before a performance. This happens for like funerals. I'll learn a song in like 2 days and then I perform it for a
Wow.
funeral. That's really challenging because, not only are you trying to learn a song, but there's like that emotional thing too. Um, so yeah, so it just depends. And you have to be really flexible regardless of how much time you have. You still have to do the best job, even if you have 2 months or if you have 2 days. So it just really depends on how lucky enough you are to have how much time you have. But yeah, ideally you want to have as much time as possible, obviously, to work on it a little bit every day to prepare instead of like cramming for an exam. It's like cramming for a test. You
Exactly.
want to start studying early. You don't want to study the night before, but sometimes you have to. And sometimes you'll still get an A even if you only studied the night before.
Well, so you're performing on stage at Tosca. You're the main character, the lady, because she dies at the end. But anyway, so
Oh no.
you should watch it. It's really good. So at the end of the performance, you're finished. You're doing your bowing to everyone, and you bow, and then someone comes up to you and says, "I love that. I love Tosca. I loved your character. I want to be just like you, Ashley. I want to be an opera singer. I want to sing like you." What would be your advice to an aspiring opera singer at that moment?
Wow. Well, I would just, tell them don't give up and to like always believe in themselves and yeah, and to practice as much as you can and to also to go to as many performances as you can and listen to as much music as you can. Um, and Also learn the piano, because the piano, I was really blessed to have such a good foundation in piano before I started singing. And that has helped me in so many ways, knowing the piano. And yeah, so, but I think if I only had a few seconds to encourage someone, I would just be like, believe in yourself and don't give up.
But you want to connect with your audience, so you want to connect with this person. You got to give them the best advice. You don't want to be like, "That's what you do." Okay, bye. I gotta go. You want to be able, oh, well, this is what you do. You got to spend a little bit of time with them, because
Oh, okay.
the worst you don't want them is, "No, I'm not going to go and see any more performances by that Ashley because she was rude." You want to
Oh
connect.
no,
You want to connect with everyone. Say, "Oh, this is what you do."
of
Advice.
course.
So I asked a musician the same question. And he goes, "Don't."
Ah,
It was funny.
that's hilarious.
He was only joking though. But so have
Uh,
you ever had any criticism or feedback on your performances? How do you handle them?
um, I've been pretty blessed to not have too much criticism on my performances, Um, but I think I mean, you have to consider consider the source of the criticism, um, and if it's good advice, you need to take it and to learn from it and to implement it in your learning process, because that's the only way you can get better is to take the criticism um and to learn from it. But at the same time, obviously, you have to know whether it's, um, you know, is it something that I should take, or is it something that's not valid? Is it valid, or is it not? So you have to decide that at first. Um, and if it doesn't resonate with you, or if it's something that's maybe like, well, maybe, somebody might just be literally, people might say, like, I don't like opera, like somebody might be like that. Well, you can't help that, because if you, if you're an opera singer, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
not sing opera. But, and then, so I guess you just consider what are they saying? Can I learn from it? Yes or no? If it's something I can learn from and I can grow from, then take it and learn from it, grow from it, and move on. Don't dwell on it. Don't like say, well, that's just part of my character now. Don't make it a personality trait, like, because some people, you might start to be like, well, that's just, that, it's, you can learn from whatever it is that you need to learn from. So, yeah.
How do you? That's a good answer. How do you feel about artificial intelligence out there? You can create opera and classical tunes with it, and I don't think you'd want your voice cloned. Ladies and gentlemen, here is actually Nicole. No, it's not. It's a clone voice. So what do you think of that?
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, wow, like, I mean, it's really quite frightening.
Hmm.
Yes. Um, I don't know what the future's going to hold, with all this, but whew, I don't know. It's really something that, it's never, mankind has never experienced something like this before.
Yeah,
So it's really, it's kind of scary. And I mean, there are certain parts of it that are kind of maybe interesting, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it works out.
definitely. Well, everyone, all of Ashley Nicole's music will be linked down below, including her song Charade. And there's another one that was just released recently called Two.
Yay.
What's your motivation behind that song? It's just two. Tell us about two.
Yes. Well, the first four lines of the song all start with two, so that's where the title came from. And so yeah, and this song, I really enjoyed writing the melody, and I really enjoyed writing it, half in English and half in Italian. So it's two languages.
Hmm.
And and yeah, so this was the first, one of the first songs that I've written in a foreign language. I've been studying Italian for several years now. Um, I've got a 4 years 4 years on Duolingo now.
Wow.
It's like 1,600 days on Duolingo. And then I studied Italian diction in college, all through college, and then obviously for my opera roles, and then even in high school when I started singing O mio babbino.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Yeah.
so I've been doing Italian for a long time. So, and I had an uh, Italian lady friend. She checked it for me, and she's like, "Yes, it makes sense." I'm like, "Does it make sense?" She's like, "Yes, it does." And then I had another friend who speaks Italian too. He checked it, and he's like, "Yes, sounds good." It and so I'm like, "Okay, I can do it." So yeah, so I really had a great time producing this song as well, and writing it and producing it. So I'm really enjoying creating my own original songs, and you know telling telling stories through my songs. And so I hope that everybody can really um, enjoy them as much as I enjoy creating them.
Some words are okay, but not when you have to rolling R's. So it must be pretty easy for you.
Well, I mean, it at first it was very, very challenging to learn the foreign language. But I think just the more that you listen to other singers, and the more that you um, the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. But it's funny because I remember, like, literally the moment where I learned how to do the rolled R, and I did it by I looked up on YouTube. This was when I was still in high school and I very first started learning the Italian. I looked up a video of a baby. You can like look on YouTube babies rolling their R's,
Wow.
and it was so cute because somebody captured the baby learning how to do it, and I thought, well, if a baby can learn, I can do it. So I learned how to roll my R along with a baby on YouTube.
Wow. Wow.
And they started out by kind of trying to make like a D sound, and then it turned into like a T, and then they were able to roll the R. So maybe look that up; it might help.
I'll figure it out. Before we end the stream, I want to ask you, is there a certain message that you want people to take away from when they listen to Charade or Two?
Wow. Well, I hope that you enjoy the music. I hope that you find it beautiful, and I hope that it inspires you.
Hmm.
Um, and I hope that you come along with me on my journey. And I've got a lot more songs coming out, and original songs. And so yeah, so I hope that you can come along with me into my imaginary world.
And where can people find you if they want to listen to your music and social media?
Yes, so my website is ASHELYNicoleSoprano.com, ASHLEYNicoleSoprano.com. And I have all my links to all my socials on there. All of my socials are at Ashley Nicole Soprano, except for Twitter, I think. Um, and I'm on Spotify, and you just have to look up Ashley Nicole Soprano. That's my official artist name. And you have to put the soprano on there. If you Google Ashley Nicole Soprano, I will also come up. And don't forget the soprano. Not You can't just put Ashley Nicole, because there's like 5 million Ashley Nicoles in
I
the
know,
world.
especially
But
on YouTube, I type in Ashley Nicole and it's got like hundreds and hundreds before I literally find you. And I'm like, where is she?
yes,
Where is she? Oh, there
yes.
she is. Yeah.
But if you put in, I think if you put in Ashley Soprano, I'll come up. If you put in Nicole Soprano, I'll come
Yeah.
up. So you have to have the soprano.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's me,
Yeah.
Ashley Nicole Soprano. And I'm on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. Um, and And also on Spotify, please press the follow button. There's a button on Spotify um,
I did. Yep.
that you can follow. Yay, thank you, Chris. Um, so be sure to press that because that will allow my music to show up in your new release playlist in new releases. So it notifies you when I have a new song. And I've got a lot of new songs coming out in the future. So I want everybody to hear them.
Yes,
Yay.
especially Charade, everyone, is an instrumental version, and the regular version is Charade on Spotify. Then you have the song, beautiful song, You Don't Love Me, and then one called Wanna Be in Love and Believe. But everyone, I want you to go and listen to her holiday album, but don't listen to until Christmas time. And her song two just was released. It's really good. As she mentioned, half of it was sang in Italian, and it's beautiful. So yeah, and looking forward to hearing more of music. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. An absolute pleasure to have the incredibly talented soprano, Ashley Nicole, with us. And we hope you enjoyed learning about her musical journey, her aspirations, and the stories behind her captivating performances. Don't forget to check out her latest releases and follow her on all social media to stay updated on her upcoming projects. Until next time, keep listening, keep exploring, and keep the music alive. Goodbye, everyone.
Yay.
Okay, wait right there, Ashley. Okay, everyone, we're going to end this stream. Bye, everyone.